In this video, we're super detailing wire-controlled turnout and semaphore control, as well as the electrical counterpart, which replaced that system in the beginning of 1900s.
Hello and welcome to another video tutorial in which we will work with detailing around signal and turnout control. So not the actual signal and turnout control, but detailing around this. And it has a history because back in the early days of railroading, back in the 1850s, 1880s, all of the turnouts and also semaphore signals, they were controlled by hand. So they sent some guys out to do the switching, and then they came back and said, okay, everything's ready. And this is also, it's still made by hand in smaller yards and around the world. So it's still a valid method of doing this. But then later in the, I would say early 1900 and even in the end of 1800, they turned to, you know, in stations and a bit larger yards where they wanted to control both the semaphores and the turnouts simultaneously, and from the station, by the station master, they, you know, installed wire control. So there were actually steel wires going out to the semaphores and the turnouts, and he kind of turned a crank at the station and everything moved out there. So that's how it worked for a number of years. Here in the country where I live, in Sweden, they turned to electrical system quite early. So already in early 1900, they went to electric system instead. So then they had motors which changed the position of the turnouts, and by going electric, the semaphore signals were kind of replaced with light signals instead. So we're gonna make some detailing around this, and we're gonna do some. I will use 3D print model because it's low cost and they're super detailed, but I would say most manufacturer has the similar items in their assortment. So if you don't have a 3D printer and you don't want to go that route, you can always buy the stuff from the manufacturers. But let's start with the wire control. Let's get to it.
So this is the yard where I will install my wire control style signal box. It's on the station I call Vinkelboda on my layout. And here I will route the wires with the wire supports and the wire stretching devices. So let's go to CG Trader and we'll type in SIG 0003, and then we'll find two signal box sets from Model Railroad 3D. The first set here is for wire control, so it contains all the parts required to make a wire control installation. For my main yard I will instead use electric control, and there's another set called signal control. I'll add that to my cart and also the other one, and then proceed to checkout. So it's a simple process, and once you have paid for it, it's just to download all of the 3D files. Once you have those, it's just to save them to the USB as they are, and insert that into your 3D printer, hit on, and then you're ready to start printing the items you want. This is what the menu looks like on a Photon Mono 4K from Anycubic. I just go down to the model I will use, which is the signal wire support bar, and then I just hit play and it will print. So this is what it happens. Here you can see how many layers the entire print is and where we are. This is the first layer, and this is the remaining time before the printout is ready. The actual print layer looks like this. So currently it's printing the first base layers. And if you like, you can pause the print. This is a good feature if you, for instance, want to refill resin. Once the print has completed, it looks like this. So it's hanging upside down in the print head. So I just remove the printout, put it into my bucket or jar with alcohol and clean it. So you see there's a lot of supports which keeps the model in place during printout. These are removed and then they look like this. So here I put them all onto a stick, to which I have applied a double-sided adhesive tape. So all of the printed items are sitting in the tape and ready to be painted. I would say that all 3D printouts needs to be painted to get a realistic look. It's not necessary to have an airbrush. Sometimes it's an advantage, especially when it's complicated shape with a lot of inside surfaces which needs to be painted. Otherwise, I prefer painting with a paintbrush instead. So now, once we got these painted, we can leave that to dry for a minute and make some measurements on the layout. So here I measured that this installation will be about 1 meter, that's 3 foot plus. I'm pushing the wire entrance ground covers into small piles of sticky rubber, which I use to fix posters to the wall otherwise. The wires themselves will be made from fine easy line. This is a kind of flexible rubber line which doesn't dry or anything. It's actually working very, very good for this type of applications. So I'm gonna fix these to the wire covers, which is also found in this 3D set for wire control, and I just put them using tweezer and then 1 drop of fast set glue and we're done. Then I have these entering into ground at the position for the turnout motors, and then I fit also these wire support bars along the way, so the wires are kept straight. Then if you like, you can use an accelerator to speed up the drying process of the fast set glue. I also want to add wires to the wire stretching devices. This is optional, but it looks a bit better if you have these wires in place. And I fixed them to those with fast set glue. Now I'm transferring the entire installation. I put it on my steel scale to be able to move it to the layout. Then I just glue this using fast set glue onto the ground. And as you see, I use also accelerator to speed up the drying process. So it's really easy just to glue all pieces in place. And an accelerator, I can really recommend that. It really helps you to avoid getting stuff on your fingers, and instead it will stick to wherever you want it. So, okay, here's the wires and all of the gadgets installed now next to the station here. So I think we're done with the installation. This is what it looks like when in place. So, well, we will also need some controls to maneuver these wires, and they are made from this signal control tower. So these are also included in the kit or in the set. It's indoor wire signal box control levers in Jüdel style. Yeah, it's a German brand. So I just put the cover back of the roof, and with the illumination inside it looks like this. For smaller stations, these were placed outside. This is a kind of control box with cranks for outdoor use. And what I do, I just apply a small roof on top of that, made from styrene plastic strips. So As I mentioned in the introduction, the wire control system was replaced kind of early, at least here in Sweden where I'm living, with the electrical control. And then they route the cables in these concrete canals. So we're gonna make these concrete canals first. I've previously presented this in a video some year ago. It's really a simple and low-cost process. This is underlay for indoor floors. It's 2.5 or 3 millimeter thick styrofoam. So I just engrave the patterns of these concrete lids using a blunt knife like this on the steel scale. So I make marks like this all the way, as many concrete plates I need. And there are 7 millimeters long and 5 millimeters wide. So this is what it looks like. Then it's just to paint this engraved styrofoam strip using a kind of natural gray paint. So then I paint all 4 sides with the gray paint, and then once it has dried, I apply a gray wash. So this is a light gray paint. Wipe most of it off on a piece of paper and then apply it on the painted engraved styrofoam strip. Another important part of the electrical control is the cabinets, which holds the contactors, which controls the signal and also turnouts. These are they come in different shapes. This is a German style. This is a Swedish modern plate type cabinet. All of these, at least in my country and also most of them in Germany, is kind of green. And I found that the best mix to do this is to mix olive green with white. So I have 2 parts olive green and 1 part white. And as said earlier, this type of object is fastest and easiest to paint using a paintbrush like this. And well, if you have 3D print, you don't have to worry about cost for things. So then it's very easy to make a lot of them and bring as gifts for friends or whatever. So I'm doing like, here I printed out, I think 10 or 15 of this type of cabinet. And I will bring most of them to my friend who has a large German themed layout. So I just paint them first like this. So it's kind of nice. I really like the idea of you pay for the drawing kit, then you can just print as many as you like. That's very nice. So here I'm painting in silver the handles and also the lock mechanism for these old wooden cabinets in Swedish style. This is the metal cabinet. It also has a kind of chromated door handle like this, and as well as the German, they have this door handle and a round lock. So here I've glued the concrete canals in place together with that cabinet, double width wooden old style Swedish cabinet. And look at that nice steamer passing. Yeah, it's the German BR-44 with some tank cars. Here it's passing by the modern plate style cabinet up by the main station. And if we look into the yard, I've installed these half cable wells, which are a very common sight, at least here on Swedish yards. They are typically sitting next to the concrete cable canal like this. Right, so now the only thing we need to do is to add the actual control panel. And this is a kind of station outdoor control panel. We have a lot of them here in Sweden. I know that they are present in Germany as well. What's nice with this 3D model is that it has removable rear covers. That allows us to install illumination into the individual indicator positions and switch positions in the front panel. So I'm putting these again on my double side adhesive stick, because the first thing we need to do is to spray the inside black, and this is to avoid light bleed when we put an LED inside. Otherwise, if we're not covering the plastic with the black paint first, the plastic will lead the light and it will look like the entire box is glowing, and that is not exactly the effect we want to achieve here. So I'm spraying this black. It's a matte black paint. It's an acrylic paint, so nothing more fancy than that. Then we're ready. I'm also spraying to be on the safe side, the outside black and also the outside of the covers, the rear covers. Now, before putting on the top coat, you can see here all the details. Here are the levers. They're actually visible and they're standing out from the control box. This is a tool set which is very good to have on hand when you're working with model railroad. This is a drill set, twist type drills from 0.3 millimeter up to 1.6. And we're actually going to use the smallest one. So I put in the correct fixing device for that, and then I insert a 0.3 drill. We're going to drill holes in the different indicator positions so we get light through these holes. And see here, yeah, I have an LED behind, and yeah, it transmits the light perfectly. Now we can paint the outside of this signal box control. We're gonna install LED surface mount LEDs with the pre-installed copper wires from LED Baron, which I'm buying on eBay. And this 3D model already have holes ready to feed the copper wires through. And then I glue the LEDs at the side here, pointing towards the length of the panel, and then I apply this is water effect from Noch, actually, as a light guide. It looks white now, but it will dry completely clear. And when you see I light this LED, it lights up at least half of the indicators, so it's kind of nice. I would probably install one in the other end as well to get full illumination in all of the positions, but unfortunately I had only one LED on hand. I need to order more, so this for now will do. I have half of the switch buttons there illuminated, which will make a nice effect anyway. And again, it's applied, assembled into the station using fast set glue. Well, I think this is really cool. I see that in the Model Railroad 3D sets now, some items come both ready for animation and, as this one, illumination. So that really brings it to the next level, I think.
All right, so I think this is this is the kind of detail that really, stands out on a layout when you do wire control installations like this. And it's kind of easy. It's just that easy line and some items to glue in place, and it's all there. So it's kind of easy to make, and it's really a detail that stands out. Hey, I don't know if you know, but this channel is totally dependent on people supporting it. Since model railroading is a kind of niche interest, the view count is kind of moderate. So to stay alive, the channel needs support, and the best way to support this channel is by becoming Patreon. So get over to Patreon, set up a support account there from, you know, like $1 or $2 per month. Think of this as a kind of magazine subscription, or make a one-off donation using the PayPal dialog found in the video description below this video. And if you're not yet subscriber, subscribe to the channel and enable that little bell next to the subscribe button, and you will be sure to get a notification once next video is published. Until that happens, see you.